All right, welcome to the Explainer. You know, AI, it's been a buzzword for years, right? But now it's actually getting into the guts of how huge companies work. And today, we're going to look at a really powerful example of this in action, a platform called CGI SpeedOps. Okay, so let's start with something we've all felt. Have you ever been stuck on hold forever or dealt with a company process that just feels ancient? Yeah, that clunky, slow feeling you get from big organizations, it's a massive universal headache. But here's the big question. What if AI is the thing that finally fixes all that? You know, in the world we live in now, being fast and cheap isn't just a nice little bonus for a company. It's everything. The source material we're looking at today actually calls it existential. And that's a perfect word for it. For a modern business, if you can't adapt and operate efficiently, you're basically not going to make it. It's a survival thing now. So the big question is, how do companies actually get that speed? How do they become more agile? Well, that brings us right to the heart of what we're talking about today. It's a platform from the big IT and consulting firm CGI, and it's called SpeedOps. And really, it's a whole new playbook for how to run a business. Now, to really get what SpeedOps is all about, you gotta understand this idea of BPO 5.0. So BPO, that's business process outsourcing. It used to be pretty simple. It was just about, paying another company to handle some of your tasks. But BPO 5.0, totally different game. Now it's about weaving AI and automation right into the fabric of those tasks, making the whole operation smart and, well, able to fix itself. And that is exactly where SpeedOps fits into the picture. The source material calls it the linchpin of this whole strategy. I love that word linchpin because it perfectly describes it. It's the one crucial piece that holds this entire smart AI-driven system together and makes it all, well, work. Okay, so how does it actually pull this off? It's not magic. The platform is really built on three core ideas, three pillars of AI-powered automation. And these three things are what completely change the game for how work gets done. So let's break down what's under the hood. First up, you've got intelligent task orchestration. Think of it like a super smart air traffic controller for work, right? The AI is constantly shuffling tasks around to make sure there are no bottlenecks or traffic jams. Then there's proactive resilience. This is where machine learning basically predicts the future. It spots potential problems before they actually happen and cause chaos. And finally, you have global scalability. This is huge. It means a single manager can be sitting there looking at one dashboard and managing everything that's happening across multiple countries all at once. And here's the really crucial part. When you put those three things together, SpeedOps just obliterates the old way of doing things. Those separate departments, the clunky systems that never talk to each other, gone. Instead, you get this one single, fluid system where the people, the processes, and all the data, they finally work together seamlessly. Look, building something this game-changing, it's not cheap. Not at all. CGI is placing a massive, massive bet on this AI-driven future. And now we're starting to see some very real, very tangible results from that bet. And when I say massive bet, I mean it. Check out this number. $1 billion. That's what CGI has poured into its AI capabilities. So yeah, this is not some side project or a little experiment. This is their core strategy for leading this next wave of business. Okay, so this spent $1 billion. But what about their customers? Is it actually paying off for them? Well, according to the source material, the answer is a big yes. Just look at this case study. You've got a European energy firm. They used SpeedOps to automate their grid maintenance workflows. And the results? They cut their operational costs by 28%. And get this, they did it in just 6 months. That is a huge real-world return on investment. And that 28%, that's not even the ceiling. The source says that when a company goes all in on this stuff, when they pair SpeedOps with their other automation projects, the potential gains can jump to over 40%. That just goes to show you the kind of power you unlock when you really bake AI deep into a company's DNA. So when you see a tech shift this big, you know Wall Street is paying attention. It's just inevitable. So let's switch gears a little and look at this from an investor's point of view and explore why the source material thinks this is such a compelling story. This chart right here, it tells you everything you need to know. Back in 2023, AI solutions like SpeedOps, they were about 12% of CGI's total revenue. Now, look ahead to the projection for 2027. It's expected to jump all the way to 30%. If you're an investor, that's exactly what you want to see. It's a clear, powerful, and accelerating engine for growth. Okay, so let's talk about the price tag. The PE ratio. It's just a quick way to see how a stock's price compares to its profits. And if you look here, CGI's is sitting at 18.5. The average for the S&P 500? Usually around 24. So the whole argument laid out in the source is that, hey, maybe CGI's stock is actually a bargain right now, especially when you factor in all that AI growth we were just talking about. So when you boil it all down, the investment case that the source makes is pretty straightforward. You've got a stock that looks potentially undervalued. You've got a really strong growth story thanks to AI. The risk is pretty spread out because they work in so many different sectors. And the cherry on top, they're focused on that sweet, sweet recurring revenue, which, Wall Street absolutely loves. All right, let's zoom out for a second and think about the big picture here. Because really, this isn't just a story about one company or one piece of software. What we're witnessing, what this all points to, are the very early days of a massive shift in how work itself gets done. And that really is the core takeaway. The conclusion from the source material isn't just that SpeedOps is a little bit better or a nice upgrade. No. The point is that it represents a paradigm shift. That's a huge term. It means it's not an improvement. It's a completely new blueprint for how businesses are going to run in the future. So that leaves us with one last really big question to chew on. As this type of AI gets woven deeper and deeper into the very fabric of business and our economy, are we, right now, watching the first chapter of the next industrial revolution unfold? Something to think about.